Stage 5 of the Global Champions League moves from the massive grass ring of Madrid to the sun, sea and most importantly sand of Saint-Tropez. There are new-look faces in the two championship leading teams, the Berlin Eagles and the Hamburg Giants. And this stage welcomes back arguably the biggest rider in the world of show jumping. It happens all here on GCTV. Let's head to Saint-Tropez for the Global Champions League.
Ramatuelle, Saint-Tropez. The glamorous village in the French Riviera. A magnificent stretch of coastline where elite riders will take their best jumps. A unique show jumping spectacle on the Mediterranean seashores. Longines Global Champions Tour at Pampelune Beach from the 19th to the 21st of May.
The best show jumpers in the world head to Saint-Tropez for round 5 of the Global Champions League. My name is Mark Lewis. Welcome to GCTV and welcome to round 1 of the GCL. We are excited to bring you this competition. The start list is absolutely sensational and we'll unpack that for you a little bit later on. Before we start looking to Saint-Tropez, Ramatuelle, before we start unpacking what is at store for today, championship points, potential leads in the championship, top 4 GCL Super Cup fights. We need to just remind you as to what took place in Madrid, what has brought us to this point, who performed exceptionally well in Madrid, and who then might see the magnifying glass fall onto them this weekend in Saint-Tropez. Well, of course, we know that one of these standout performances came from this young man. Mike Kawhi was sensational in Madrid and has been on a really good run of form. Not only is his horse Goldwyn still jumping a perfect record in 2022, but even young Mike Kawhi, who we focused on during this week's episode of The Insider, has now jumped 5 out of 6 clears. It's a record that his career has never seen before. And with it, this young man is helping guide the London Knights to a really strong position on the overall championship standings. He jumped clear again in Madrid. And unfortunately, Tobias Meyer, his teammate, was unable to replicate that form. However, despite Tobias Meyer not being able to jump clear, his performance still allowed the team to find itself on the podium at the end of Madrid. Yes, his performance was not what he wanted, and you could see the heartbreak and the frustration on the face of Mike Kawhi, but it was enough to get them onto the podium and earn championship points. Now, Marlon Bayard-Jonsson for the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. She too had a very indifferent weekend, seeing faults in round 1, faults in round 2, and eventually coming home in 4 in the second round. It took the team to 12, and it put real pressure on not just their team, on their championship credentials, but of course on Olivier Philippart, who was the next man to come out the gate, because he knew that if a rail or two were to fall, Stockholm Hearts' weekend would well and truly be over. And after disappointments in Madrid, in Mexico City, I beg your pardon, and in Miami Beach, they knew that perfection was required, and Olivier Philippart was able to deliver that perfection. He was able to jump a clear, keep the team on 12, and as we spoke about in The Insider, that score of 12 never felt as if it was going to be a podium 12. But whether it was by hook or by crook, the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, were able to get themselves on the podium with so many teams around them continue to struggle and saw rails fall. They made a massive jump from 9th to 2nd, and it proved to be a good weekend for them to try and get their season back on track. Now, speaking about getting weekends back on track, how good were the Berlin Eagles? And despite that fault from Christian Kuckuck, it still allowed Philipp Wieshout and Kobe a huge cushion to get over the line. He had 2 rails in hand. He needed none of them. He jumped it clear. He kept the Berlin Eagles on 4. And with that score of 4, they were able to get across the line, be crowned champions of Madrid, and become your new championship leading team. They overtake the Hamburg Giants and are now the team to go on and catch as we head into the second quarter of the year. So the Berlin Eagles, how will they perform today? Time will tell. However, of course, we know that things are a lot tighter than perhaps they seem. Let's show you what the overall standings look like following the event in Madrid and remind you how it looks. Scandinavian Vikings and the Istanbul Sultans swapping places 15-16. We continue to raise questions and eyebrows around the Paris Panthers, who now find themselves in 14th place. And what about Falkensvart United, your champions, your current championship defence, still in all sorts of trouble? We must give credit to the Cannes Stars as well. They too have had a really good run of form over the last few weeks, and because of that they have been earning valuable championship points. And the Cannes Stars, now a team that really struggled in 2021, have all of a sudden put together really strong performances in 2022. They've been earning valuable championship points, and all of a sudden the Cannes Stars now find themselves in 9th place, knocking on the door of those top 8 teams. What do the top 8 teams then look like as far as the overall championship is concerned? Shanghai Swans, your runners-up from 2021, in 8th. This new-look London Knights team, being led by Mike Kawhi, as we mentioned, are up to 6th. And then your GCL Super Cup semi-final places being locked down by Madrid in Motion, Stockholm Hearts, Hamburg Giants, and the Berlin Eagles, who now open up a 14-point gap. There are new faces today for the Berlin Eagles. There are new faces for the Hamburg Giants as well. Will those new faces be able to keep the momentum going? Will those new faces be able to keep the momentum and keep their team in 2nd and 1st place, respectively? We will hear from Christian Kuckuck in a few moments' time, because he has played an incredibly crucial role in the Berlin Eagles season thus far. But it just makes us remember what a season that this man has had building up until this point. Because if we go back to Doha this year, Christian Kuckuck and Mumbai, who has been his primary horse, jumped 4 and clear in Doha. Really good performance, as we know. 4 and clear. Most riders will be very happy. Miami, it got even better. Double clear for him, as the Berlin Eagles, if you recall, rewriting history there. Checker came in later. So off to Madrid, off to Mexico we go, I beg your pardon. And Mumbai, much like we saw in Doha, jumping clear and 4. Come Madrid, Mumbai was given a rest. Checker came in clear in the 1st round. That 4 in the 2nd round. And it was still enough to help the Berlin Eagles take the championship lead. So Christian Kuckuck playing a vital role between himself, Mumbai, and of course having Checker available to him as well, knowing that clear rounds are still available even with horse changes. Christian Kuckuck is proving to be one of the top men for the Berlin Eagles. However, does he regard himself as the anchorman of this team? Let's find out.
I'm having I would say the biggest strength of horses. I'm definitely having an important position, because I will do most of the shows. We have a lot of expectations. I also have a lot of expectations from myself. I'm trying to do the best, always, every day. Yeah, so that makes my position important in the team, but I would never put myself out of, like I'm saying, I'm having the most important position or something like that. No, I'm just know that I have an important position in the team, and I try to do the best for the team.
Are you looking forward to the upcoming stages?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. I mean, yeah, it's always a nice feeling, you know, to be in the lead, having had good shows, self-confidence, and we really want to stay in that position. So I'm really looking forward for Saint-Tropez and then Cannes, my next 2 global stages, and I will try my best to keep the position of the team.
Always a wonderful opportunity to have a sit down with some of the top riders in the world, and we were able to pick the brain of Christian Kuckuck. So if he is not then the anchor man of the team, that his purpose in this team is squared focus on getting the team over the line, perhaps that role then belongs to Ludger Beerbaum. How does Christian Kuckuck feel about riding for and with the German veteran, Ludger Beerbaum?
It was my dream when I realized, or when I said to myself, okay, I want to become a professional rider. And I said I want to learn from the best in the world, and that was, or is for me, Ludger. And yeah, he was, you know, he was my hero at that time. And when I asked him, and he said yes, you know, my dream already came true. I never expect that happen, to be honest, and especially not that quick. I went to the Olympics, to the Europeans. I'm having the luck to compete on the global season in the team, and winning here in Madrid and having shows in Miami and Mexico. I basically could not even dream about it. And but if that was my dream, the dream came true, and I'm still really enjoying it. I feel so comfortable and home in Riesenbeck. Yeah, everything developing and growing. Also, the relationship between Ludger and me. He has the experience he has over the past 40 years. I mean, that it's incredible, you know. And I would say basically any situation I'm having now in my age, you know, and in this period of career, he had in the past year. So there was never something I went to him and he said, "Oh, no, with this I cannot help you." Like the first thing he said always is, "I know what you mean. I had that situation so many times in my life."
Is he always right?
I would say most of the time he is right, but in these moments also under the pressure, you know, in a good relationship, you need these moments. It's not always going well up. It's, sometimes you need an argument to get any further.
And I must agree with Christian Kuckuck there 100%. I feel that it's that friction, perhaps it's those arguments that happen in and outside of the ring that will continue to challenge and continue to bring the best out of the Berlin Eagles, who once again, I remind you, are your championship leaders after 4 stages of the Global Champions League. And based on the performances that we've seen from Christian Kuckuck, from Philipp Weishaupt, from Ludger Biederbaum and Miller, Kobe, Checker, Mumbai, they have an incredibly strong lineup. And there is a change in the lineup for the Berlin Eagles today. A first look at a rider for 2022. Frederick de Backer will be telling us a little bit about that in a few moments' time. How then will this new look team perform? Do they then still have the ability to earn points when perhaps some of their more senior riders that we see on the Global Champions League stage are not always present? That full Christian Kuckuck interview is available for you on this week's episode of The Insider. If you want to hear more from him, go check out GCTV and look for that full interview to get all the thoughts of the Berlin Eagles man. Now, we've been talking about the GCL Super Cup semi-final positions because whilst we tell the events and the stories of each and every single stage on the Global Champions League, there is always that big prize of Prague at the end of the year. Teams want to get into the top 4. They want to earn themselves a GCL Super Cup semi-final spot. They want to jump one less round by the time they get to Prague. And as it stands now, Madrid in Motion, following a indifferent season in 2021, have now made a real jump up the table in 2022 and find themselves, as it stands now, provisionally inside that top 4 and inside that GCL Super Cup semi-final stage. They, of course, need to stay there with good performances throughout the year. We had the wonderful opportunity to catch up with Eric van der Vleuten and get his thoughts on how the Madrid Emotion team have performed thus far in 2022.
Yeah, so far actually we had quite good results. We are now, I think we are 4th now in the overall standing. Yeah, in Madrid we were a little bit struggling. We had Mark and Eduardo who were riding there. It was actually not the best show from the last few ones, but okay, that can happen. And I mean, there are 16 legs and yeah, it's always difficult to get on every show the best horses out. Every horse needs so now and then a rest. They're not like machines, so we have to try to make a good plan through the whole season. I bring Dreamland this week. He's not that really experienced yet on this highest level. I think he has the potential to do it. So this show we will see if he will grow in this level. I had my other best horse, Wunschkind. We retired her. She's 16 now. She did for 5 years the big classes. But now I feel it's getting hard for her to do the biggest classes. So we retired her and okay, we're looking for some new horses. The ambition is to do well over the whole season and try to be even better in Prague, because that's the final. And we had already 2 very good finals in Prague. So we try to keep it like that, and and see that we have the good horses and the good riders out in Prague in the best form. There are so many good teams like Valkenswaard United, the Berlin Eagles, the team from Ludger is very strong this year. So yeah, it's such a strong competition overall. So many things can still happen. But yeah, I think so far the Berlin Eagles, I think they are very strong for the moment and this season.
Do you think you guys can beat Berlin Eagles?
Hopefully we can one day. We will fight for it. Every result, every round counts in the team. So yeah, every team can have, of course, one bad result and it will count. So yeah, it's very difficult to be all the time that good. And like I say, a small mistake can make a big difference in this sport.
A very interesting answer from Eric van der Vleuten. Do you feel that you were able to beat the Berlin Eagles was the question, and someday was the answer. I wonder if someday, realistically, is 2022 for Madrid in motion, or if that someday still might be a little bit further ahead in the future. Michael van der Vleuten will be riding for Madrid in motion today, and we'll also get the opportunity to see Angelica Augustin Zanotelli. She will be coming out for Madrid in motion. They will be the third team out the gate today. We'll open up with Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, and what a lineup they have brought to Saint-Tropez this weekend as well. We'll unpack that in a few moments' time. If I'm not mistaken, Frederick de Backer is standing by for us in Saint-Tropez. Frederick de Backer, good afternoon and welcome to Saint-Tropez. I should probably start by asking whether or not where we are in the season now still comes as a surprise. You and I did a podcast in the beginning of the year. We looked at stats and records and history. And I don't think that the GCL Super Cup semi-final spots would have been taken by the teams that they are currently being taken by. Are we still calling this a surprise thus far?
It is a surprise thus far, I think. If you look, okay, Berlin Eagles isn't a surprise. You know, they were just outside the top 4 in 2021, so that's not a surprise that they are doing well now. It is more the surprise that those other teams are underperforming rather than that these teams are performing so well. And with these teams, we're talking Berlin Eagles, we're talking Hamburg Giants. That's a surprise, no doubt. Madrid in Motion has always been a medium stage team, a medium competition team, between halfway and a little bit more up, maybe almost close to top 5, top 4. Now they sit there in that mix. London Knights are doing really well. So London Knights is also a surprise for me, to be very fair. The performance of Mike Kawai is also a surprise to me, to be fair with you. So there are a few surprises like London Knights and like Hamburg Giants. It's not surprising that Berlin Eagles and Madrid in Motion are doing well. It is a surprise, of course, and we've said that so many times before in the Insider, and now again in this conversation, it remains a surprise why and that Shanghai Swans, that Paris Panthers, and of course Valkenswaard United are doing poorly at the moment.
Frederick, if we take a look at our two championship-leading teams, the Berlin Eagles and the Hamburg Giants, I see that both of them have brought in some fresh faces for Saint-Tropez. Remind us who they will be riding with today. And is this a brave call? Are they brave calls from both of these two teams? Do they still believe with these lineups they'll be able to stay where they are come the end of the weekend?
Well, if you look at Hamburg Giants and at Berlin Eagles, Hamburg Giants powered by Berlin Eagles powered by Fundis Rijsport, they have to bring in those new faces at some point in the competition. They can't always use Beerbaum and Koekkoek or Koekkoek and Weishaupt. They have to bring in new faces. And for example, with Owen McMahon, he's got two very good horses in his stable at Riesenbeck, of course, and he has to come up to GCL speed as well, especially when it gets very hectic, when it gets very tight at the end of the season. McMahon has to feel comfortable in his GCL format. He has to understand the format. He has to be able to make that quick switch if a rail would fall and if he has to make quick decisions. So that's understandable. It's the same actually with Hamburg Giants. They can't always rely on Vrieling and on Barbès, because you know they would burn their energy, they would burn their gunpowder too early, and then come to the finish, come to the sprint of this season, and they don't feel their legs anymore, to call it in cyclist terms. Their legs will be cut off, and their cyclists, their bike would drop quite as Mike Kawai comes past here. He's in good mood, he's in a good form. So I do understand it's risky. but it's not an illogical substitution. They always have to show, of course, whether or not they can really live up to the level. But I do understand that they bring in those new faces. Of course, what is interesting is that they have brought in those new faces, and of course they need the time and the moments to settle in and to get relaxed. But it does give an opportunity to, for example, Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, to come into this, to dive into the gap. Maybe if a rail would drop with these two good horses for Peter Fredriksson and Malin Bayer-Johnson here, it would be very interesting to see how that will play out, because those two leading teams have brought in new riders with new horses that have to get used to this system. And now their rivaling team, Stockholm Hearts, has brought in their two top riders with their two top horses to maybe not yet take back the lead in the championship, but really close the gap.
Absolutely. I'm glad you went there, because I was going to bring up, we actually saw Peter Fredriksson just walking past you across your shoulder in the background. Just for the news for today, Malin Bayer-Johnson and Peter Fredriksson are back for H&M, so Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M. They are the first team out the gate. Is it fair of the world of Stockholm Hearts fans, Fredrik, to expect Fredriksson to step back in and just deliver clears immediately? Is he that good? Is that the expectation?
There is no reason to say no. And there is every reason to say yes, he is that good. Yes, it is Catch Me Not S. Yes, it is Peter Fredriksson. Yes, it is Malin Bayer-Johnson. Though Indiana did jump a clear round in Madrid last week. Keep that in the back of your mind. But we all know how good the mare is. So if she's on a non-clear round streak, you have to expect that streak to end, because she jumps so many clears. So that should be happening right now this weekend. So yes, I do expect a double clear from those two, and the fans have to expect the very same from them, and I think that everybody is expecting that from them as well.
You make a very good point. In fact, it's Lily Keane and Olivia Philipparts who were delivering the clears, not Malin Bayer-Johnson in Madrid. Speaking of Peter Fredriksson, Fredrik, just buy us 1 minute of your time. You obviously caught up with him. Let's hear from Peter Fredriksson and what he had to say ahead of today's performance.
We always try to do our very best. We brought two good horses here, and we always try to do our very best. If we succeed, we know on Saturday.
Is there within the team alternatives, should it come down to it, on day two to switch horses? Which horses have you guys got here?
The plan is to stick with these horses, but obviously we have two horses each, so if something happens, we could always switch horses. I have Catch Me Not here and H&M All In, and Malin has got Indiana and a fairly new horse called Harley Davidson.
Owners of the horses are here. The team owners of Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, are here. It feels like everything is coming together. Maybe the other teams with weaker riders, with non-experienced riders, you with the top horses, both Malin with their top horses, the owners here. Might this be a magical weekend?
We hope so. You know, it's good, it's great. We have a lot of friends coming over, owners and sponsors, and you know, we're looking forward to this weekend.
Could well be a magical weekend for the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. They need to reboot their season. Fredrik, back to you. Before we let you go, you are standing inside that arena. Obvious changes from where we were in Madrid the previous round. Talk to us quickly about that slope that you alluded to in the Insider, about Saint-Tropez and about the challenges that this ring can offer the riders.
Yeah, we're pretty much halfway in the ring, so we're not at the highest, not at the lowest point, but there is a very significant slope on this course. I've walked the course just now. It looks very fair to start. It starts very fair. It gets a little bit bigger at the end, but most fences... Hey, Harry. There you go. Most fences are actually built on the direction of the slope. The slope is like this, and we're mainly jumping up and down. It's quite a tight ring here. It's long, but it's quite narrow, so we're often jumping up and down, coming out of the triple combinations, up the hill, slightly long distance from the triple combination to fence 9. On the other hand, we also have some downhill lines that run a little bit tight, I think, and especially at the end of this course, I expect a lot of faults here. At this fence, for example, very square Oxer Liverpool underneath, then it's a very difficult turn into premium mares, and then a big Oxer at the end as well. So there is some slope on this course, but I think it will play a role mainly at the end. But of course, I might also be wrong.
Absolutely. You seldom are, Frederick. You seldom are wrong. I'll give you that. Right. Well, we look forward to seeing if and when the faults might come towards the back end of the round. Frederick de Backer, thank you very much for your time, giving us some insight as to what to expect from the Saint-Tropez arena. A reminder, Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. Your pre-season championship favourites will be the first team out the gates. Some notable names. Jean Sadran coming in for the Shanghai Swans today. How will she perform? Richard Vogel in for Miami Celtics. We have Olivier Robert and Jerome Guerry for the Saint-Tropez Pirates, Harry Charles and Scott Brash for New York Empire. Strong team there as well. Henrik van Ackerman comes in for the Scandinavian Vikings. Linda Heed in for Hamburg Giants. Owen McMahon coming in for the Berlin Eagles. It does make for rather interesting viewing. And let's not forget that Harry Smolders and Ben Mayer are in for the Paris Panthers, and they will be the final team out the gate. Those are your lineups for GCL Round 1. This is Saint-Tropez, and this is GCTV, as we will bring you all of the action, every jump, every fault, and every single fence coming up in the next few moments. Stay with us. Don't forget your multiple language options available to you on GCTV. We'll catch you at the halfway point of the opening round, which will be after the Miami Celtics round. We'll give you some feedback as to what has taken place up until that point. So stay with us here on GCTV. Round 1 of the Global Champions League, live from Ramatuelle Saint-Tropez, is next.